Hope you're enjoying your Kentucky fried whatever you're having. And let's go ahead and check out these ingredients that we're going to need in case you don't have a cocktail kit handy. We're going to need fresh mint, obviously. We're making mint juleps. We've got some bourbon whiskey, some simple syrup on hand. You can also just use regular sugar, darling. We're going to need some aged rum and pineapple juice and one single fresh lime for the second cocktail. Also going to need some Angostura bitters and some crushed ice. Now, if you only have regular ice cubes, we're going to show you a little trick in a moment. Optionally, and we suggest it if you can, if you've got some peach liqueur or peach brandy on hand, and those are two different things, we'll get into that in a little while. Those will make for a fantastic addition to our julep here. Now, today's tools, very, very simple, because we don't even really have to shake these things. This is what we call the big drinks, B-I-G, build in glass. A mint julep is meant to slowly dilute in the crushed ice, so there's no actual shaking with ice necessary. All you're going to need is something to measure with and a muddler. For the second cocktail, you're also going to want to have a bar spoon or just some teaspoon measure on hand, and a cutting board and a knife. Now, optionally, if you want to have some shaking tins, we're going to do a little dry shake on our end. We also have our trusty juice press and a Hawthorne strainer if you're going to do that shake maneuver, and we'll show you how that is done. Now, if you don't have these fantastic bar equipments on hand, we of course always suggest using a tablespoon measure for measuring your liquids. This is a ½ ounce, or you can use a glass measuring cup like a Pyrex. We've also got our water bottle for the shaking if you're going to do that, big lid, or a mason jar with a lid. And of course, for the muddling purposes, a big salad spoon works, something with a flat end that you can just press that mint, because this is crucial today. We've done this a lot before, so I know that you guys are probably familiar with that already. And of course, our dear friend, the spatula. Where would we be without the spatula to do a little straining if you need it? Now, you can build this just in the glass. We're going to do both versions and show you how that's done. But here we are at the Kentucky Derby. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it fantastic? Isn't it grand? Churchill Downs. And this is the home of the mint julep for the last, well, almost 100 years. The mint julep became the official cocktail of the Kentucky Derby in 1938. And at this point, over 120,000 of these things are made and consumed every Kentucky Derby. Now, it was originally called the Early Times Kentucky Derby. That was Early Times Mint Julep. That was a brand of whiskey that they used to make these things. And there you see a picture, all of them lined up. And there is Early Times Mint Julep actually in the bottle. Now, you could bottle this cocktail very easily because it doesn't have any fresh citrus, which is a little bit different for us. We've done everything with fresh citrus so far, but this cocktail doesn't have any of that stuff. So it's going to be quite sweet on the palate. We've got a lot of mint to combat that. And hey, if you're at the Kentucky Derby next year or whenever they decide to do it, you can get a really, really special, exclusive, gold-plated julep cup for $1,000. They are now selling $1,000 mint juleps that use Woodford Reserve bourbon instead of the Old Forester, which is now the official brand. It took over for Early Times. They use ice cubes made from water from the Bavarian Alps. They import mint from Ireland, and they import sugar from Australia to make you the finest mint julep that you've ever tasted. And you can have that for $1,000. Of course, proceeds all go to charity. Now, I'm going to quit yakking, and we're going to just go ahead and build the first drink because we need some time for this thing to kind of dilute. So I hope you guys are ready. We're going to jump right in and build a classic mint julep spirit guide style. So we're going to use 2 ounces of the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby, Old Forester. We also are going to use a little bit of our own julep mix. Traditionally, mint juleps are made in all sorts of ways, and one of them involves some peach liqueur or peach brandy, which we'll get into in a little bit. So we have prepared a little julep mix that is 1/4 ounce of simple syrup and 1/4 ounce of peach liqueur. So if you have those ingredients on hand and you don't have the cocktail kit, you can build that yourself, just like so. And then we're just going to press that mixture into about 8 to 10 mint leaves. So we do want a lot of mint on hand. And that's a mint julep, folks. We're not actually going to shake this drink. We're just going to build it into the cup. Where'd it go? And once we do that, you're going to be good to go, basically. So you can build this in the julep cup, as so. We're going to do it separately in this tin because I want to give this stuff a really good shake. So we're doing a good amount of mint leaves, tearing them up. And of course, we're drinking for 2 over here. Is that overhead not working? Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Well, in the meantime, I'm sure you guys can follow along like this. We normally have our lovely overhead cam, but we seem to be having some technical problems. So you can build this directly into the cup, although according to a Kentucky humorist in 1930s, anyone who would let the muddled mint and stems rest in the decoction of this wonderful spirit would be somebody who would put snakes in a baby's bed. I read that today. And so we're not going to do that, but if you're feeling a little dangerous, you can go ahead and just build right in the julep cup. So we are going to do 1/4 ounce per drink of simple syrup on top of our mint leaves. Add to which 1/4 ounce of peach liqueur. And if you've got the kits, just do 1/2 ounce of the mix per drink. Now, if you don't have peach liqueur, this recipe is kind of a total dealer's choice, if you will. You can make it a little bit sweeter, do 1/2 ounce of syrup. I wouldn't recommend anything more than 1/2 ounce of syrup, though. And now we're going to do our favorite thing, the muddle. We're really going to press these leaves down into the syrup. Pressing and spinning our muddling device. Getting all that minty goodness. We've done this before, so I know you're familiar. But now we're using a lot more mint for this thing. I mean, this is really almost the only additive in this cocktail that just separates it from an old-fashioned. Once that is sufficiently smashed into a paste of sorts, that smells really good. Now we can add our Old Forester. Old Forester 100. 100 indicating the proof. That's right, this is 50% ABV, and this is how they officially do it at the Kentucky Derby these days. So we are going to honor that and pour a full 2 ounces of 100 proof whiskey on top of our minty muddly mess. Now you can muddle that a little bit more if you want. What I'm going to do is do what is called a dry shake, shaking it without any ice added to the tin. You can stir it, kind of let it sit there for a minute, just so that mint incorporates a little bit more. The dry shake, you definitely want to use 2 hands and go slow, because when you're shaking with ice, you're cooling these glasses, right? And they start to seize together. But you can see, like, even so, I'm dripping a little bit of our lovely product out of these tins. So it's hard to get a good seal to do a dry shake. All right, there we have it. Set up a couple of fancy julep cups. And I'm just going to go ahead and distribute this first, and then we'll ice it after the fact. Lots of different ways to prepare this drink. There we go. You can just do this in a regular rocks glass too if you don't have a very, very special julep cup. Now, crushed ice, we haven't really talked about it too much before. If you use pebble ice like we have here, that's totally fine. However, if you don't have crushed ice at home, there is a trick. And there is a tool for this, an official bartending tool called a Lewis bag. And if you want to use a Lewis bag, it's really just a canvas sack. You put the ice inside of it, and then you beat it with a hammer. But it's a really it's a really official thing that we paid actual dollars for. You could probably get away with putting these in a Ziploc bag and then wrapping a towel around the Ziploc bag and then hitting it with some hard object. So we're going to do a little demonstration of the Lewis bag. I've never actually used this before, so this could go horribly awry, but here I've got my big, good, fresh ice cubes and just going to put them into the bag. Having the crushed ice is so crucial because we haven't added any dilution to this cocktail at all. This is just a minty, slightly peachy bourbon mess right now. And we need to add some dilution. Let's see. I can get a couple more cubes in here. There we go. And look, it's got a little tie. I mean, this is so fun. Fun and fancy-free. All right, I've tied my Lewis bag. I'm gonna put that, I should probably put it on a hard surface. No, not that hard. Bump. And let's see, I don't have a hammer handy. I'm gonna use this juicer and just give these a proper beating. You can kind of see where the cubes are. Well, that's gonna wake the neighbors up, that's for sure. And before long, you've got some lovely crushed ice. Well, at least a little bit of it. Then you can dig this out like you would anything else. Didn't do quite the job that I wanted it to do, unfortunately. I guess I really need a bigger hammer. Well, we got a little bit. Some of these are just not having it. But this is why we test things beforehand, which we did not do today. But now you've got some crushed ice. Got some little bits, and that's exactly what we want. We want to add all of that good stuff to our julep cup. This should just be a mountain of crushed ice coming out of this thing. Switching over to my pebbles. If y'all are still pounding, pound away, man. We don't mind. We'll still be here when you get done. It may take an hour. You can also just completely give up and just use regular cubes. But this is one of those cases where the small little bits is what we're after. Pretty good. Pretty good. Already you can see these wonderful silver cups just glistening. They're just glowing here. And now we've got a spoon, or you can use a straw. Just kind of give this a little bit of a stir to incorporate this all together. Oh, it's so frozen already. Yeah, there we go. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Great. And now, of course, we have to have our mint bouquet garnish. So take a few more mint stems that you've got left over. Give them a little slappy-do on the back of your wrist. And the more the merrier with a cocktail like this. That is what we are talking about. Very, very easy cocktail to make, which we hope you will find very, very tasty. And this cocktail has had a lot of different spirits used in it over the years. It started out being brandy, but of course is adapted into many different forays. There we go. And that's a mint julep, kiddos. That's how it's done. Easy, simple ingredients. Grab yourself a straw, which is the way to drink this. And of course, we're building this early on. Cheers. Social distance. We're building this early on because as the drink sits in the ice, it's going to dilute. If you take a sip of this and you go, whoa, at the beginning, that means you're a normal person. Yeah. Ooh, that's good. Very, very nice. Of course, this is just going to evolve as the dilution starts happening. So sip now. If that was too heavy for you, give it a minute. Let it hang out. And of course, if you were actually at Churchill Downs drinking this in the hot sun while waiting for a 2-minute horse race, you could probably get through about 4 or 5 of these because they would dilute very, very, very fast. So cheers to you guys. We're going to continue with the history lesson for a little bit longer. Now, I'm going to tell you that the word julep has nothing to do with mint whatsoever. Julep actually comes from an Arabic word, which is julab. I'm sure I'm butchering that, which means rose water. Not like the rose water that you spray over your pillow at night, but rose water implying this is a sweet water. So the sweetness and the whiskey element or water element of it, that is where the name comes from. Now, as early as the 1780s, juleps were actually being prescribed as medicinal agents. There was a medical record that prescribed a mint julep from 1784 that I found today for sickness of the stomach, frequent retching, and difficulty swallowing. The doctor prescribed to her a julep, which is essentially sweetened bourbon, because a lot of this stuff is medicinal in its heritage. The cocktail in general is coming from medicinal lore, as we've discussed before. But the addition of mint to a julep was probably done sometime around the late 1700s, early 1800s in the Virginian high class. In 1803 is the earliest written record of a julep being made with mint. A man named John Davis wrote a book talking about how Virginians would have these drinks that was a spirituous liqueur with mint smashed into it in the morning. That's right, this was actually a morning cocktail, just like the mimosa of last week. These things were meant to be drank for breakfast. And you may think that's a little bit strong, a little bit strange. However, it was very, very common in the southern United States. A man by the name of Samuel Goodrich actually has a very interesting quote about this. He was an author, and he wrote that in the southern states, where the ague, which is a fever, is so common and troublesome a malady, where fogs are frequent and dews heavy, it has grown custom to fortify the body from attacks of the disease by means of juleps, or what are called antiphogmatics. Now that is a fantastic word. Merriam-Webster defines antiphogmatic as a drink of liquor taken to counteract the effect of fog. So actually having something like a cold back in those days was called having a phogmatic attack. So you needed an anti-phlegmatic, which is ostensibly what we're drinking right now. It's just bourbon, folks. Now that is hysterical. But I saw that word and I was like, wait a minute. I know that word. I know that word very well because that word is the title of an album by Spirit Guide's favorite band, Punch Brothers. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Punch Brothers, oh man, are you in for a treat because we got Punch Brothers to play tonight for us as our musical guest. Okay, we didn't actually get Punch Brothers to play for us. One day, though, we will. But we didn't have time to get a musical guest together for this show, but we figured what better way to celebrate than to play you an excellent Punch Brothers song, which is called Julep. This here from NPR, your musical moment of zen. This is Punch Brothers with Julep. Sip and enjoy.
I died happy in my sleep. I died happy in my sleep. Our children around and you looking down from heaven's julep on the porch. Heaven's a julep on the porch. You and me rocking the grandfather clock is tick tick talking to the time. She brought the sugar and the mint. She brought the sugar and the mint. And he brought the whiskey, asked for my blessing. Yes, sir, I know she's heaven's a julep on the porch. Heaven's a julep on the porch. You and me rocking the grandfather clock is tick, tick, talking to the time we used to wind. Time stands still. We can drink our fill out of silver that will never tarnish light. I died happy in my sleep. Our children around and you looking down from heaven's a julep on the porch. Heaven's a julep on the porch. You and me rocking a grandfather clock, just tick, 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 talking to the time we used to wind. God, the time we used to wind. Oh, it's tick, 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 talking to the time we used to wind.
What an amazing band, amazing song, unpaid plug for Punch Brothers. Thank you guys for checking that out. That song makes my heart aflutter. Heaven is a julep on the porch, and hope you are enjoying heaven on your couch or wherever you may be sipping this fine, fine julep from. So, about the peach thing, because you may be thinking it's a little bit weird to be putting peach into this cocktail. However, before there was whiskey, everybody was drinking brandy. Brandy actually is the high society spirit of choice for most of these old cocktails. Brandy was the specialty stuff for the what is it? Well, you get what I'm saying. And the plebeians were the ones who were drinking the moonshine and the whiskey. When America was first colonized, apples were the first thing that were really used to distill spirits. George Washington is said to have sailed on the Delaware while chugging a bottle of Laird's Applejack. That's pre-revolutionary America, people. But also, peaches were very, very commonly used. In 1862, Jerry Thomas, my man, publishes The Bartender's Guide, the ever-famous first book about bartending. And in this book, he lists 5 different versions of a julep cocktail, mint julep just being one of them. Again, this is just a sweetened spirit. That's all that it really means. Served in this kind of thing, which probably has its roots in the Virginian high society, because you could hold these cups around the edges. Just kind of a dandy little fancy breakfast drink to make you feel really special. But in the book, A Bartender's Guide, How to Mix Drinks, or The Bon Vivant's Companion, Jerry talks about a British man named Captain Marryat. That's right, Captain Marryat. Captain Frederick Marryat was a naval guy who wrote extensively about the julep. And in fact, he had perfected a recipe. There's a quote from him in this old book from 1862. And he says, "I once overheard 2 ladies talking in the next room to me. And one of them said, 'Well, if I have a weakness for any one thing, it is for a mint julep.' A very amiable weakness," he adds, and proving her good sense and good taste. They are, in fact, like the American ladies, irresistible. Oh, Frederick, you cad. Frederick prescribes this for a mint julep: dozen sprigs of the tender shoots of mint, a teaspoon of white sugar, and equal proportions of peach and common brandy. Now, common brandy would be what we know to be regular brandy made with grapes. But a peach brandy is made from peaches. Now, I want to separate this for you guys. This is not a peach liqueur. We are not talking about a neutral grain spirit with sugar and peach flavoring added to it. We're talking about something distilled from the juice of peaches. Now, peaches are a very, very difficult ingredient to work with. Why? Because once they're ripe and full of sugar, they immediately start to go bad. So keeping them, you have to basically distill them right where you grow them, essentially. And that was what was happening back in the day. But once grain production really started, and of course corn really started happening, and bourbon became the thing, that was the drink that most people, A, could afford. And also, when this thing started to move into Kentucky, the Kentuckians completely took it over. And peach brandy is a super difficult ingredient to find even today. A lot of distillers just don't mess with it. There's a few micro distilleries that are making peach brandy. I implore you, if you can get your hands on a bottle of true peach brandy, or an eau de vie, as they're called, you should buy it, because this stuff is exceptional. I've only ever made this drink one time with real peach brandy and cognac, as that was prescribed by our buddy Marriott, and it was amazing. I mean, this is a really, really good spirit. However, the history proved that Kentucky took this over, and this was a drink only for Kentuckians. There's a very fantastic quote in a letter that I found from a guy in the year 1937, I believe, writing to his superior officer. He himself was a lieutenant general in World War II. But pre-World War II, a man named Simon Bolivar Buckner Jr. had this to say about a mint julep. A mint julep is not the product of a formula. It is a ceremony, and must be performed by a gentleman possessing a true art of the artistic, a deep reverence for the ingredients, and a proper appreciation for the occasion. It is a rite that must not be entrusted to a novice, a statistician, nor a Yankee. It is a heritage of the Old South, an emblem of hospitality, and a vehicle in which noble minds can travel together upon the flower-strewn paths of happy and congenial thought. Decorated war hero, Lieutenant General Simon Bolivar Buckner Jr., whose father, Simon Bolivar Buckner the Sr., actually fought in the Civil War and became a governor of the state of Kentucky. So deep are this man's roots in Kentucky that he staked that claim and said, "This is not for you Yankees." But another man begged to differ. And that man's name was Charles H. Baker, who traveled around the world as an epicure, tasting bits of this, bits of that, and put them together in a 2-volume book. And he had a different idea about what being a gentleman was when he wrote The Gentleman's Companion, a 2-volume book, and the second volume is What a Gentleman Should Properly Drink. And Charles H. Baker Jr., another junior, says a julep is international and has been international for years. Written in 1942, almost a direct rebuttal of the previous quote, wouldn't you say? And according to Charles H. Baker Jr., the best julep in the world wasn't even in the South. It wasn't even in America. It was in the Philippines, at the Hotel Manila. There it is, the Hotel Manila, and the Manila Hotel Mint Julep #1. Of course, this was created by an American in a hotel built by Americans in the Philippines that was being sort of westernized at the time, shall we say, in the 1920s. However, this mint julep uses bourbon, 2 kinds of rum, cherries, and pineapple. Pineapple in the julep. Now, in the bar world, there's only so many ingredients that you can really mess around with, unless you're finding and discovering new species of fruits everywhere you go. And so, our very own spirit guide, Jeremy Needleman, has brought you this fantastic cocktail recipe that has a lot in common with, shall we just say, the best mint julep in the world. He didn't even know this. I'm springing this on him. This is research I did 3 hours ago. But this is fact. And here we have, for the first time to the general public, the Kentucky Derby. Oh yeah, our very own riff on the mint julep. This cocktail was Jeremy's, I think, first creation under the Spirit Guides umbrella. It may have predated the official Spirit Guides, but when we put together our official menu, we knew we had to include this fantastic cocktail. Now, we're doing basically a mint julep build again. It's not very different, except for we're going to use pineapple juice with some sweetened bitters. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that technique just so you know how to do it. But if you're following along with the cocktail kit, you've already got this pre-made. So, if you want to do this on your own at another time, you're basically making like a bitters syrup. So we're going to take a teaspoon or so, about 1/3 of an ounce is what you're aiming for here. So get yourself about a bar spoon of sugar is good. And you can put that in a vessel. So if you don't have the cocktail kit, follow along with this. Now, Angostura bitter is normally used as just a dash, just kind of a flavoring element. Jeremy Needleman of Spirit Guide said, fuck that. We need way more bitters than that. I'm a bitter Betty, and I want to have bitters in my drink. So we are doing 1/3 of an ounce of Angostura bitters, a full third, which is quite a lot. If you don't have a measuring utensil, if you're using a tablespoon, it's like almost all that. It's 2 teaspoons, if you will, of Angostura bitters. And we're going to add that into the sugar. Now to this, we muddled pineapple, or if you're in a pinch, you don't have fresh pineapple, but you've got pineapple juice, 100% not from concentrate, from Dole. This stuff is pretty good if you've got it on hand. We love using the fresh stuff, which is what's in the cocktail kits, but I ran out. So we're going to add about 1/2 of an ounce of pineapple into this lovely mix, a little bit more. And then we can stir that together and just watch in awe as that dissolves into the most delicious thing you've ever smelled. I think so. I think it might be. Am I going too fast? This has already been done for you if you have the cocktail kit, but I'm just showing you so you know for future reference how easy it is to do this on your own and make yourself some badass cocktails at home. That's already getting pretty dissolved in there. But that smell, that smell is so glorious. Fresh pineapple juice, gotta be the best ingredient for a cocktail. Period, bar none. Look at that. I mean, it's already pretty much dissolved. So there you go. Now you've made your very own Kentucky Derby mix. We're going to set that aside. Just wanted to give you guys that quick little demo just so you can see how to do it on your own. But let us make haste. That's dirty. We're going to build another mint julep Kentucky Derby style. We're taking the Derby all the way down to the tropics. So let's get ourselves some more fresh mint leaves. Ingredient number 1. Pull off 8 to 10 of these bad boys and dump them in your tin. You can also, if you're interested in being a viper, put these directly into the julep cup or whatever glass you're using. We're a little more highbrow than that over here. I don't know if you noticed the white suit.
But you definitely don't want to spill bitters on.
Yeah, if you spilled Angostura bitters, even a droplet on your porcelain countertop, you want to clean that up immediately. Those things stain worse than anything. Worse than blood, worse than grass stains. All right. So now we've got our mint leaves. I've got a little bit of extra mix here. And so I'm just going to go for it. We're going to do 3/4 of this delightful mix. And if you just made the mix, do 3/4 of the same. Obviously, we're drinking for 2. So I'm making a double, and I've been looking forward to this drink for days now. There we go. Fresh pineapple, bitters, some turbinado sugar, and now the muddle. Just be gentle. We're just going to press the mint into that concoction. Fun fact, or just an interesting tidbit. I guess it's not really a fact. Oh, maybe it's a fact. I found mint yesterday growing in my front yard. I didn't plant it. Don't know how it got there, but it magically appeared. I think just for the benefit and joy of today's show. So I can show you guys that. This is the fresh mint that I picked from my yard. I rinsed it. I'm not sure. It looks kind of like it might be spearmint. I also collected donations of mint from some of the neighbors. So mint comes in a lot of different varieties. All right, now we've got our muddled mint. We're going to add 2 ounces of Flor de Caña 7-year, which is a fantastic aged rum from Nicaragua. And we are going to add that to our tin. Two ounces per drink. And if you're feeling frisky, give it a little stir. And of course, you can always do the dry shake once again. But we're not going to add any ice. So the preparation of our Kentucky Derby cocktail, we're just going to mimic that of the regular julep. Give it a little shake. And I'm going to serve this not in julep cups, but in our glasses, so you can really appreciate the color of these great bitters. If you've got a Lewis bag, you can also throw it on the ground.
Get that aggression out, Al. Get it out.
It's really, this bag is really heavy duty. It's not working terribly well.
You need an ice mallet for it.
We
Like a
need
big
an
mallet.
actual proper wooden mallet, I think.
Yes.
But this is how they get you. Oh, well, that did okay. Hey, good enough, man. As long as there's flaky bits and particles coming off of the cubes, I'm going to call that good enough for government work. And of course, we are agents of the government, making cocktails for fun. All right, there we go. Some crushed ice on the fly, sort of, courtesy of Mr. Lewis and his bag. All right, so now we've got our glasses, and we're just going to do the strain. Of course, if you did this in the glass, you're all good. Look at that color. Oh, baby, oh, baby. And let's garnish this with some fresh mint from the front yard.
Oh, yum.
I hope no pesticides were used. I'm going to do a compilation video of all the times that I flicked mint at you guys. Add a little straw. Have to ask my landlord. It's such an it's a very different nose on this stuff as store-bought mint or even farmed mint. I hope it's mint. I thought it was mint at first. All right, there we go. Cheers, and cheers to you all. You have made a Spirit Guides original once again, the Kentucky Derby. Cheers to Jeremy. I think this is just an exceptional expression of this kind of cocktail.
Is this mint? Might be like lemon mint or like there's
Yeah.
like lemon thyme mint.
There's some kind of
Like
other
thyme.
thing going on.
Get a lot of thyme on that nose.
Woo! Oh, that's real nice. Oh wait, I forgot. I forgot part of the ingredient. I'm so sorry. I am a full chump today. We're just having technical issues all over the place, including up here. I'm not gonna stop myself. Don't worry. All right. Now I forgot the most important part of making a Kentucky drink is that you have to have some citrus in there. What am I thinking? So if you guys made that and were following along with me, well, I appreciate you hopping off the cliff with me. But this did call for a 1/4 ounce, a little bit over a 1/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. So no harm done. You can cut yourself a little lime wedge and just squeeze that right into the cocktail. If that's not enough for you, cut yourself another one, squeeze that in. Since we didn't really incorporate this by shaking it with ice, it's all good. What do you say, another one? I think another one is good. All right. Now you can even just toss them in the drink. Stir that all together. This is kind of like a smash. There we go. The key ingredient. The Kentucky Derby. Reimagined. The Spirit Guides version of the cocktail. I can hardly speak English anymore. Well, folks, that's pretty much the program for the evening. This is roughly a variation with a lot of extra bitters instead of cherries of the best julep in the world. How do you like that? The Manila Hotel Mint Julep #1. Courtesy of Charles H. Baker, who fetched that recipe for us way back in the 40s. So, juleps, cocktails, all kinds of different expressions of things. The point is, you can split the base up, you can change things around. The world is your playground when you're in the mixology lab. Try a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you have some brandy on hand, use brandy next time you make a mint julep. That's the more traditional way of doing it. You can feel fancier. You can feel more French. And if you happen to have some peach brandy, email us and I'll come pick it up from you. I would love to share a peach brandy julep with you guys anytime. Real peach brandy, super hard to come by. These are the takeaways of the day. I think we're about wrapped. If anyone has any burning questions, please let us know. We're having a very, very excellent time doing the show, and we have been expanding just a little bit. Should we tell them? I think we should tell them. We have been acquired.
That's not true. Partnered. We are partnering.
We have been partnering. I'm sorry. I'm just searching for the words, you see. We are partnering with Fever once again, who we partnered with last year to do the Mad Hatter immersive bar program. And we are going to be bringing you guys live tropical tiki content on the AC Doocy submarine. Now, it's going to be right here on this same channel tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So if you want to get a taste of a little something different with a little more theater involved and a little more tropical consistency involved, you can check that out. Now, sales have already closed for AC Doocy's program next week. So we figured we would bring that program to you guys here on Thirsty Thursdays anyway. So if you missed out on getting tickets for the AC Doocy Club, you can get tickets with us and do the same program on Thursday night. But if you like that, if you like what we're doing over there, check out Fever Original Events, and you can buy tickets for the AC Doocy Tiki Submarine. It's a Spirit Guides thing. and they came to us. They wanted to work with what we're doing. So we thank you guys so much for your support. So next week, we are bringing you our second Tiki Thursday, and we are going cuckoo for coconuts. That's right. We're making our own cream of coconut. None of this cream of chemical stuff. And we're doing some fantastic cocktails with coconut. And we want to show you guys how to appreciate them. So you can check that out. And also tune in tomorrow night for our maiden voyage of the Tiki Submarine. We hope you guys have had a good time tonight. Feel free to hang out on the chat. And we've got some great music right here. So enjoy your derby. We'll see you next time.